Talk to me about Operation Sindoor, sir, because I work in media, so I keep मैं बड़े ध्यान से narratives etc. पढ़ता हूँ. And the Pakistani people are delusional there's no second guessing it. I don't say this to dump on them. ये एक बड़ा realistic fact of life है. Part of that narrative is हमारी Air Force की superiority over Indian Air Force की superiority is proven. Delusion, no doubt. But shed light on exactly how would you compare? You faced the Pakistani Air Force. In your time in service, you faced it. You are probably very abreast with what happens these days. How do you compare Indian Air Force and Pakistani Air Force?
You know, if you make comparisons, it's a continuous process. Let me tell you, as I told you earlier also, aviation is one part of the whole thing, which is ever improvising, ever improving, ever advancing. Okay, so this cat and mouse game. Sometimes Pakistanis may have better equipment, sometimes we may have better equipment. However, I believe, and not because I am from Indian Air Force, I believe it, and the whole world believes, that the man behind the machine that matters.
Interesting.
And let's, as proud Indians, be very clear about one thing, that in India, that man behind machine is one of the fantastic guy whose training is superb. His, attitude towards work is different, and its patriotism is way, way, way beyond any others. I'm not comparing here. I'm just telling about what, as an Indian, I feel.
Right.
Okay. So these three aspects are much, much more important, which were shown in Sindoor again, not only for pilots, but for the people who were behind the radars, the air defense system of ours, those ones who were firing the missiles, those ones who were looking at the radar signatures and identifying the Pakistani drones or aircrafts and retaliating. So that is also man behind machine.
Yeah.
He's not a pilot.
No.
But let me tell you, his training is also so good that what machine you're using is a very, very different aspect. Yes, I agree. We should modernize. We should get better. Okay, we are authorized to get better. But why I'm telling you this point is that we do with what we have and compensate with our skill where the machine lacks one.
Got it.
But we are not way behind. Yes, there are problems. We are a democratic country. It is not like China or communism that you just order. When the question of gun and bread comes, you don't say guns.
You said
we
bread.
say bread.
Yes, right.
So if we have to say bread and still have to
guns.
consider your security and have guns, then this is the via media, and which we are adopted very well. Our army is one of the best army which can operate in mountains.
Interesting.
Let me assure you that. Our Air Force is one of the best Air Force.
Especially probably high altitude Air Forces.
Not only high altitude,
Huh.
our pilots, fighter pilots, are one of the best in the world, which has been proven time and again in the international exercise. I am not saying, I am sitting here, I am from Air Force, so I am not saying so. You can go through, Google it, read about international exercise, and you will find there people saying so.
Interesting.
Okay, and after Sindoor, there's a chap who's, I forget the name now, if I recollect, I will tell you, Cooper, I think. Okay, he's a specialist. He's a specialist in warfare. Okay, and he's from US. And his interview was taken, I think, by NDTV or one of the channels. I'm not very sure, which you can check, you being from media.
Right.
He very clearly tells there that what has happened in Sindoor, I will tell in one sentence. Okay? Indian Air Force has won hands down.
Right.
This is a statement. Then he goes on explaining for 45 minutes.
What that means.
Why he's saying so.
Right.
But let me tell you, just because Chafekar is from Air Force is not saying so. It is fact of life. So when you compare with Pakistan, okay, that comparison itself is not worth it. It will be my blunt answer.
I understand.
Blunt answer. Because the very things which are work behind the machine are more important and more better off than what we keep discussing about.
Very interesting. Bro, अभी तो हमने बिल्कुल सरफेस स्क्रैच किया है. इफ यू वांट टू नो कि क्या मस्त इंटरेस्टिंग इनोवेटिव यूनिक कॉन्वर्सेशन विच वॉज द फुल कॉन्वर्सेशन, तो आप जाओ मेन चैनल पे और क्लिक करो यहाँ.